Unsurprisingly, Iran is only growing bolder and more aggressive as America retreats from the Middle East. Ayatollah Khamenei continues to call for Israel's elimination. Iranian-backed Shiite militias now control much of Iraq. Iran continues to prop up Bashar al-Assad's outlaw regime in Syria. Iranian-aligned Shiite militants recently seized Sana'a, the capital of Yemen. Hezbollah remains Iran's cat's paw in Lebanon. Put simply, Iran dominates or controls 5 capitals in its drive for regional hegemony.
It is so amazing. First of all, Senator Cotton is just amazing as a freshman senator, a veteran, and of course a former congressman. Joining us now is Riyadh Mohammed, contributor to the Fiscal Times. He's a reporter and was a former reporter for the New York Times and the LA Times. Hello, sir.
Hello.
How are you? Joe, welcome.
Yes,
appreciate it. Iran. Let me start by saying this. Everything the senator is saying is true and a lot more. So what is it that our president doesn't understand? What is it that our administration doesn't understand about the danger and the threat and the blatant aggression that Iran is undertaking even as we negotiate this cockamamie treaty?
Well, you see, it's as with every other issue in the Middle East, it's a bit complicated. President Obama came after a long decade of wars with Iraq and Afghanistan. I can understand where he's coming from and where a lot of the American public opinion. They don't want to be involved in wars. They don't want to be involved with in conflicts in the Middle East. However, this is a very dangerous region, and this is very also it's a very vital region for the American interest. Leaving the Middle East, disengaging in the Middle East is very dangerous, and it will have a backfire for the American interest, and that's what happens. We have seen the rise of ISIS in the last 2 years, and because of that, that actually gave Iran an opportunity to invest more in the Middle East, and that we have seen in Syria, in Iraq, and now lately in Yemen.
As you point out, I understand, that he feels Americans don't want to engage in more wars, but negotiating this treaty, and let's say they sign this treaty, and then saying, okay, we solved the problem. When you didn't address Iran's intercontinental ballistic missiles, you didn't address anything that Tom Cotton talked about, you didn't address anything you've talked about, it'll just go on, and Iran will continue to sponsor and finance terrorism, continue to kill our soldiers with IEDs in Iraq and in Afghanistan and Iraq, and everything else that you've talked about, taking over more and more capitals, et cetera, Yemen. It'll all just continue, and there's nothing being done to address that at all.
Well, the Iranian issue, it's a really wide-scale complex that has different aspects.
But is it smart to separate the nuclear aspect of it from everything else?
I'm not sure that I can have a direct answer for that, but what I think is you need a comprehensive Middle East policy that's actually engaged with that region. You do not, you cannot handle the Middle East with a kind of like disgust. We don't want to really deal with them.
Right.
You cannot do that. You have to deal with the Middle East. Without it, you will lose, and you will lose more capitals. Regarding the nuclear issue, I don't believe that a military confrontation will work. I don't believe that. I think the current approach, which basically negotiation combined with the severe sanction, which has actually started to hurt the Iranian economy, will work, but you need also to engage with the other issues. You need to have more support for the legitimate Yemeni government that just lost its capital. You need to support the Iraqi government so they won't rely on Iran. You need to have a better approach regarding what's happening in Syria.
Yeah, all right. But now with regard, and we'll pick this up in the next segment, with regard to the deal, we hear reports from AP today, I think it was AP, that the deal would be Iran would stop its 40% of its capacity. In other words, if they have 100% capacity today to one day get a bomb, relatively soon, it'll go down by 40%. So they'll have 60% of that left. They'll keep the majority of their centrifuges, overwhelming amount, compared, I think 6,000 compared to what the U.S. originally wanted, which was 500 to 1,500. And in 10 years, it's all over. So let's come back and talk about what kind of deal is that? I mean, how could Israel feel secure? How could the world feel secure? Why would the U.S. even do? And the sanctions all get lifted. So we'll talk about if you think that's a good deal, if the reports are correct. We're coming back, folks. Part 2. Don't go away. All right, welcome back, folks. We're back with Riyadh Mohammed, and let's pick up where we left off with the deal. Reportedly today, the deal includes Iran lessens its capacity to make nuclear weapons by 40%. They keep like about 6,000 or so centrifuges, and in 10 years, all bets are off, and all the sanctions get lifted. I mean, what kind of deal is that?
I am not sure this is the ideal deal. As I said before, I think the problem is that this is not, of course, ideal.
Is it a good deal? Because Obama and Kerry keep saying a bad deal will do no deal. So is it a bad deal?
I think it's take in consideration the current situation in the Middle East and the American involvement. It's probably the best deal that they can get. I would have hoped that they would have actually been in a better position, so they would have a better deal. But because of the Obama administration disengagement with the Middle East, this deal, it's probably the best thing that they can get now. If you go to the details, you see Israel in 1981 attacked the Iraqi nuclear reactor. Yeah. At that time, Iraq was involved with the war with Iran, and it was not paying attention to the West. So they managed to actually postpone Iraqi's ambitions or Saddam ambitions for about a decade. I'm not sure that could work now with Iran. Iran more stronger than Iraq, and it's 3 times bigger than Iraq in size and in population. And I'm just not sure that will work. So maybe you can do that if the Iranian will honor their words, and you can win that decade with this deal. But I think to boost this deal, you need to be engaged in the Middle East. You need to confront the Iranians in all these arenas, in Syria, in Iraq, and in Yemen, even in Lebanon.
And we're not doing anything to go after ISIS. We are just not doing. We have no interest as a country, as an administration in this country, to take care of ISIS. What are we doing?
Well, with regard to ISIS, President Obama resisted any interference in Syria for so long, for years. Senator McCain asked several times, and every time he asked for intervention, we had the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staffs would say that we cannot do that, which for someone like me, I can't understand that. If Israel can hit Syria,
why can't we?
Why can't the United States? So when he finally acted, it was too late. I don't believe that the current strategy is failing, but it's not working fine so far. In Iraq, the momentum of ISIS was stopped, but if the current involvement continue, it still need months and maybe years. In Syria, it's a different situation. Only after the loss of defeating Kobani, ISIS momentum stopped, but it still need years.
What happens if the United States abandons Israel at the United Nations? Then all hell breaks loose in the region?
Well, I mean, I don't really believe that with the current Israeli Prime Minister, there is a lot of hopes for the Middle East process.
Well, what about but it's the Palestinians who walked away from the table. It's the Palestinians who teach their children in school and on television to kill the Jew. Well, I mean, it's the Palestinians who honor the suicide, homicide bombers with soccer stadiums and monetary grants. How is it Israel's fault?
No, I'm not saying that it's only Israel's fault, but I don't believe that the current Israeli Prime Minister with his current approach will work for a broader Middle East peace.
Well, Hamas is part of the other government.
Of course.
So how could any prime minister that values security sit down with those people?
What I think it's better for this issue is that we have either you remember the Clinton administration when they were involved in every details, or we have a strong administration like the Bush, the first
Right.
Bush administration, when they have imposed a peace process after Madrid conference.
Well, we'll see what'll happen. Great talking to you, Riyadh Mohammed. Thank you for coming up. Appreciate it. All right, folks, we're coming back with Gimme 5. It's next. Don't go away.